For over a year now, I've been restoring this 5 acres of land in East Ireland, land that until recently was heavily managed, quiet and largely lifeless, much like the rest of Ireland, which is in a deep biodiversity crisis. I've been restoring it, letting things grow wild again, planting trees, creating wildflower meadows, creating a safe space for nature to return. In this video, I want to show you some of the species that have already started to appear here, the birds, invertebrates and mammals, and give you a sense of what I've learned from the rewarding process and the life that I hope to film here as it continues to grow. Over the coming years, I'll be documenting this land in detail, watching how Irish wildlife responds when we simply give it a chance. The first thing I set out to do was to understand and document what life already exists on the land and see what it might teach me about how I could help improve the space for them. This is a super important process for me to stop, observe and ensure that the work I was doing on the land was actually having positive impact and not just actions for myself. The first group to capture my attention, unsurprisingly, were the birds. Many of the species I encountered at first were the familiar Irish garden birds we all know: robins, blackbirds, thrushes, blue tits. But watching them more closely, taking the time to film them and try and learn what they need and what they get up to as they go about their daily routine was really rewarding and strangely addictive. I learned a lot while I filmed. Not just facts like the differences between males and females, but the nuances of particular species, their daily struggles, territorial battles, mating rituals, their different characters, their preferences for nest building materials and nesting locations, and their feeding habits. This last bit taught me a lot that I can take back to the land and how I manage it. What berries, seeds or invertebrates certain species prefer or even rely on. I quickly realized that if I plant specific trees or plants, not only would it supply food for certain birds, but encourage specific invertebrates that rely on that plant to host its life cycle. That's something I'm going to talk about later in the video. Straight away, observing these birds that I have seen regularly through my whole life had taught me the nuances of the Irish food chain, and importantly, where that chain has been broken. This footage is mostly sequences of close-ups to show you the variety of life I've seen here so far, but my goal on this channel, going forward, is to tell their stories in more detail, film their nesting, their life cycles and their struggles. But for now, I mostly want to understand what lives here. When winter set in, the meadows were flowerless, and so many of my trees are too young to provide a bounty. I decided to put some feeders out to support the birds. To be honest, there are 3 species of bird that have had impressive comebacks here in East Ireland, in County Wicklow in particular, that I was really hoping to get footage of. And one of those I knew had a particular taste for peanuts, so I put some in a feeder in the hopes of seeing one. And then one day, while filming chaffinches, I panicked to get in focus and get my camera back to the feeder, because there on it, enjoying the peanuts, was a great spotted woodpecker. One of the species I've been hoping to film on the land. This striking bird is still relatively new to Ireland, only establishing itself here around 2010. Since then, it's slowly been expanding across the country, particularly in Wicklow. These beautiful birds rely on something that's quite scarce in Ireland: standing deadwood. They use their powerful beaks to crack through the soft and decaying wood and use their long tongues, which you can see probing the peanuts here, to look for invertebrates inside. That tongue actually wraps around the bird's skull, acting as a cushion while it drums away on the wood. It taught me that I need some standing deadwood on the land. The river regularly provides logs that come drifting down from other places, and from time to time I have to take them out of the river. So I hope to stand some of them upright, to provide hunting ground and maybe even nesting ground for these beautiful birds. And one evening I realised that I wasn't the only one enjoying sunset. Up on a tree beside me was a red kite. These beautiful birds were reintroduced here in County Wicklow only a few years ago, but are thriving and doing really well, and thankfully spreading across the country. And then only the next day I got footage of the other bird of prey I was hoping to see, and yes, unfortunately this is not my land, it is my neighbour's land. But nonetheless, it's fantastic to see the bird in the area, even if it was on the other side of the fence. Buzzards, like red kites, were persecuted to extinction here in Ireland, but amazingly, these birds have reintroduced themselves and are thriving now all the way across the country, from east to west, having reintroduced themselves from the UK. If I thought that the birds had taught me a lot, going a level down the food chain taught me even more, and in a lot more detail. I'll be honest, I'm not much of an entomologist. A lot of this, beyond the basics, was learning for me, and I was seeing species that I had never noticed before, but no doubt had been around me all my life. Taking the time again to look in more detail into their macro little world was really eye-opening and again super rewarding. The main thing that I started to realize and got really into is the fact that so many of these insects fully rely on host plants, specific plants that they need just to exist, to the point that it's often even in their name, like the nettle weevil here. The nettle is in its name, the dockleaf beetle, the dock is in its name. It would not exist if that plant wasn't there. And when managing land for biodiversity, it's like an instruction manual, showing you that if you want that invertebrate, which perhaps is food for this bird, then you need that plant. But it wasn't just plants, it was habitat as well. Some of them would only appear in the wetter areas, some in drier landscapes, like this beautiful spider, which would only appear in the longer grass and in the drier areas. I got down on my hands and knees and really looked for the first time, and not just on the land, but in the water too. Both on the surface and under the water, invertebrates were everywhere. Their quantity, variety, and abundance underpins the foundation of the food chain in every country, and their numbers are in serious decline. So the more I learn, the more I can help them, and that's what I'm setting out to do. But no group taught me more than the butterflies and moths. Because nowhere is the host-plant relationship more obvious than with the butterflies and moths. Many species rely entirely on a single plant to lay eggs and feed their caterpillars. And this year I saw it in real time. As soon as ragwort, knapweed, meadowsweet, nettles and other wildflowers appeared, the butterflies associated with them appeared too. It felt almost instant, a direct, visible chain reaction. And of course, of Ireland's 35 or so regularly appearing butterfly species, the ones that didn't appear on my land were the ones associated with plants and habitats that I don't have on the land. There's a direct correlation. And unfortunately, another observation that I made is that a huge amount of butterflies rely on plants that we regard as weeds, in particular nettles. The small tortoiseshell, painted lady, and peacock all rely on nettles. The moths, though, really blew my mind. Some of our moths are diurnal, flying by day, but most are nocturnal. And we therefore don't realize just how beautiful they are. They can give any butterfly a good run for their money. So I'm really looking forward to documenting these in much more detail over the year to come and finding some of the biggest and most interesting looking moths. One day I was rewarded while filming this speckled wood. She suddenly started laying eggs on her host plant. Yes, this looks like just normal grass, like a normal lawn, but it is in fact Yorkshire fog, the grass that the speckled wood relies on as its host plant. She laid these eggs and then she flew away. It was beautiful to watch. The mammals were the part of the project I was most excited and perhaps most nervous about as well, because of the challenge. There would be less mammals on the land, and they would be most secretive and most likely to flee at the first sign of any human presence. So filming them was going to be difficult. But I got lucky a bit earlier than I expected. And the first species that I recorded was this little bank vole, which I really didn't expect, because bank voles aren't native to Ireland. They accidentally arrived in County Kerry in the very south of Ireland in the 1920s and have been spreading north at a rate of about 1.5 kilometres per year ever since. They have only been recorded here in County Wicklow since 2020. Although they're invasive, they have not had much of a negative impact and are actually providing a much needed boost in prey item numbers for our birds of prey, in particular owls. They're secretive little things and feed mostly on seeds, small invertebrates and berries. They're Ireland's newest mammal, and I didn't expect to see them here, so it was a nice start to my mammal count. But what I really wanted to film was otter, which was going to be much more of a challenge, so I set off on a mission to do just that. I knew I had some chance of filming otter because I found this, spraint, or otter poo, which I found at a couple of locations along the river. So I reached out to an amazing trail camera company called NatureSpy, whose profits go directly to conservation efforts all around the world. And they were kind enough to send me out 2 amazing cameras with 4K resolution, which I placed in 2 locations along the river. And then I waited. For 2 weeks, I left the cameras there, hopefully capturing footage of otter and maybe even other creatures. And when it came time to review the footage, I was slightly nervous at first, because although I was seeing beautiful things like this grey heron fishing at night, both at this location and the other camera's location, I wasn't seeing any signs of any kind of mammal, even mice or rats. Normal birds like robins would appear regularly, and wood pigeons would go down to take a bath. This was all wonderful stuff to see, but it wasn't mammals, and it certainly wasn't the otter that I was really hoping to capture. But then my heart lifted, because I saw this. Another mammal I wasn't expecting at all. A pine marten. Pine martens were near extinction here in Ireland only recently, but have been recovering really well in the last few years. So seeing one on my land was really humbling and really exciting. And I saw it day after day. It kept coming back to the same spot, both day and night, and seemed so happy and playful. It was really, really enjoyable to watch. These mammals are really arboreal. They're fantastic climbers and have an amazing jumping ability, as you're about to see, as it leapt across the river and clambered very quickly up that ivy. And finally, my dream came true. Footage of otter. I have otter on the land. And it wasn't just any footage. It was footage showing that there are fish in the river. Otter are a fantastic indicator species and are a great sign that the ecosystem in the river is strong enough to support these large predators. Here you can see two otter playfully fighting over a fish that they've just caught in the river. An amazing thing to see. And I can't believe that it's happening here on my doorstep, where I can document it and show you more of this into the future. But what was that just passed the camera? It's another mammal and another thing that I can't wait to document, because I have put up bat nesting boxes. There you can see a bat. Unfortunately, the footage was too fast and blurry to figure out exactly what species it was, but it's another amazing thing to see. This journey has been so rewarding for me. But it's not just about me. Of course, it's about the life that I'm supporting in this area by doing this, but it's also hopefully about inspiring others to do the same thing, to show how rewarding the process can be, and to learn from my mistakes, and hopefully continue to grow this channel and grow the land into a showcase for Irish biodiversity.